All right, let's see. A number 11 always beats a number 6, and it's a tough region.
You should put Kansas in there, James. But aren't we supposed to do an interview here?
All right, certainly. Welcome to the Wacky World of Work. I'm James Turani, and today on the program we have a very special guest. His name is Dr. Paul White, and he is a psychologist, author, and workplace consultant. And today on the program, we are talking about March Madness, the big dance, the NCAA basketball tournament. And I did go to Missouri, and apparently we have a little bit of conflict to start off with here.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Dr. White, for joining us today. So let me start off with this. For a number of years, I've been seeing studies saying that March Madness costs business zillions of dollars a year. In fact, I saw this one study from last year from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas that put the figure at $1.2 billion.
Wow.
But you seem to think that employers should embrace March Madness instead.
Well, I think they should at least consider it because, it is what it is. It's there, and it's an event, and people are interested in it. And so you can either sort of embrace it or you can fight it. And in some ways, you need to, count the costs and benefits. I mean, in some situations, it may work out well because let's say you're in a small community. I'm in Wichita, Kansas. We have Wichita State here.
Mm-hmm.
And, when the Shockers are doing well, the whole city follows it, and so taking a little time can create some goodwill. But, if you're in a manufacturing firm or some kinds of settings where it just doesn't work, you have to look at other options or maybe you can't do that.
Do you have any real world examples of companies that have embraced March Madness?
Well, there are lots of smaller companies that, flex, and that's one of the benefits of a smaller company is that either that the company's small or maybe it's like a franchise or a small independent office where the manager has the authority to be able to make decisions. And so, they say, hey, we're going to take lunch an hour late and watch this, or, we'll DVR it and then run through it quickly, or we'll make it a team event. And they order in pizza, and kick off the last hour or two of the day and watch it together. So, it happens. It was interesting. I was talking to a media person back in D.C., and it was sort of like foreign world to them. They never even considered it. So, I think it differs according to your setting.
So you see it more as a team building opportunity.
Well, that's one of the ways that you could use it in a positive. I think the other is, I wrote a book called The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace, where we've identified that there's different ways that people feel valued and appreciated or even encouraged, and it's not always words. And some people like time, with other people. Sometimes they like flex time, and be able to take off early. And so it can be a way. Maybe it's just a couple of people. Maybe it's not the whole, unit or department or whatever, but a couple of people are really hardcore fans, and Kentucky or Duke or something like that. And you say, hey, if we can work it out responsibility-wise, why don't you guys, either go to the break room or go someplace else and we'll cover and make it happen.
Sure. And then you also run the risk, though, of having, say, a Kentucky fan and a Duke fan getting into a heated battle.
But, yeah, I don't talk to Duke fans personally because I'm from the Kansas University. No, but yeah, you have those issues, and hopefully, it's fun. Actually, one of the bigger challenges is, what do you do with people who aren't really that interested in the tournament
Sure.
or the games? And so, fairness issues and so forth. And so you have to think that through. And so I think it's important. Actually, that's where people probably get into trouble, where they sort of flex, but they don't think it through. They don't talk to the HR manager and say, are there some things we need to consider here?
Right.
Talk to even your management team and say, do we have, certain projects that are come and due right away that we can't, flex with, and get people's input, and sometimes people are say, I'd like to watch, but, I can tape it at home and watch it later. So
Sure.
whatever works for them.
And some people prefer their Cinderella in a castle in Disney World rather than the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. And some people would rather just, take the time off and, go out to a longer lunch while other people watch basketball. I mean, so, you can provide different alternatives.
Sure. And then would you would you say that it works departmentally, or is it something that the whole company should embrace?
Well, I think, the larger you get, the tougher it is to manage. And so if you can sort of figure out for a department, but you've got to have a rationale and be able to explain it to people in other departments and say, yeah, we got approval and this is how we're handling it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it becomes a headache for, lots of different levels.
Now, is this a philosophy you've always had, or is this something you've developed in your research?
Well, I think I'm pretty practical oriented, and it's like, let's deal with real life. And part of the reason the research about lost revenue for businesses is because lots of times they don't accept the reality that their people aren't working. They're watching on the computer or flipping back and forth or doing Gamecast or whatever. And it's like, I think either you could give it as a benefit or you could give it as flex time and say, you're not going to be paying attention during this time anyway, so let's just call it for what it is, and then you can work later or work over your lunch or work earlier. And so then you don't lose productivity.
Right. Well, some companies do block those websites too, so that you can't get to them during work hours.
Right. Well, yeah. I think most smaller to medium-sized companies don't go to that extra effort because it's just a logistical hassle. They're just you're sort of risk it, I guess.
Great. So you have any thoughts on this year's tournament?
Yes, I do. I think Kentucky is going to be tough. They just look great. But
they look great every year.
Yeah, but they look really good. But that's why they play the games.
Sure.
And and it's fun. And I will mention that I had one interview ask about sort of gender and sexist kinds of issues, and really I think largely more and more women have become involved, especially when it's in a community aspect of the whole community's following them. And so I don't think it's so much a male female gender kind of thing as much as just people that are interested or not. But I think it can be a creative way that you can build some positive morale and even loyalty with some people that you know what's important to them. And that's part of our message. Our website's appreciationatwork.com, and we talk about different ways besides just words to show appreciation that are meaningful to people.
Great. Well, let the madness begin.
It'll be fun.
I'd like to thank my guest, Dr. Paul White, for joining me today. If you have a question or comment about the program, please email me at editors@workforce.com, or you can always tweet to me at @WorkforceJames. Until next time, like I always say, whatever works. Thanks, Paul.
You bet. Thank you.